Hi, Leonie West from Westalee Design. In this video we will show you how to make a Dresden plate with our Persian point topper, and we will also show you how to make our Dresden plate with standard points. We are going to be using the 8-point Westalee Dresden plate. The advantages to the Westalee Dresden is that we have the locking fabric guide, and we can make 6-inch plates, 7-inch plates, and all the way to 12-inch plates. The plates are designed to fit inside a 12-inch block with about half an inch all the way around to the edge of the block. So I'm going to set this one up at 12, tighten the screws. I'm now going to cut strips of fabric to the same sizes from here to here. So I'm going to take the 18-inch adjustable ruler, put my plate upside down, loosen the screws on the guide. I'm going to put black to clear and black to clear underneath. Go to the other end and black touching clear, and I always come back and do the first end again. So now my ruler is set to cut strips of fabric the same measurement for the plate. I'm now going to cut a strip of fabric. This fabric already has a straight edge, so I'm just going to put the guide to the edge, hold it down at the front and cut my strip. For this plate we are going to cut 2 different fabrics and 4 plates of each. So I'm going to cut another strip of fabric, so my strips are cut. Now I will take my Dresden plate tool, put the guide to the edge of the fabric, hold the tool down on the clear, cut up one side. Because it's cut to the right measurement, I don't need to cut across the top, and come back and cut the other side. So I now have 4 plates in the purple. Do the same with our other piece of fabric. I find cutting this way much safer than cutting that direction. So it's as easy as that, and I've got 8 plates cut. For this block we are going to use the Persian toppers, and the Persian toppers come in a set of 4. We have 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch and 12-inch, so we can make all those size blocks with them. Taking the toppers out of their little tray, and you can see the 4 different sizes. So I'm going to use the 12. Just grab an ironing surface. I'm going to take freezer paper. I have 2 layers of freezer paper, and I'm going to press those 2 layers together. So I'm going to put shiny side to dull side. This gives me a firmer template to turn my pieces around. So I'm just going to press those together using a hot iron. Now that they're pressed together, I'm going to draw around the topper. You can reuse these a number of times just using a pencil. I will just draw around the toppers. I'm going to make 2 of these paper pieces. That will be enough to do all 8 points because I can reuse them. If I was making a quilt with a lot of plates in it, I would make more than 2 toppers, and then I could do 8 pieces at a time. So now I've drawn around that. Once I've drawn around my template, I am just going to cut on the drawn line all the way around the piece. This is going to give me a guide to turn over my fabric to give me the lovely Persian point top. We now want to cut our fabric away from around our template, and we're going to cut approximately 1/4 of an inch. This does not have to be accurate. This is going to be turned under. So we just take off those extra pieces. Because on the Persian we have a curve coming here and coming back into the point, this is our concave curve. When we have a concave curve, it does help if we put a couple of nicks into the curve, just 2 or 3. That will help that curve to come over. We can turn this over and press it over. I like to use starch, so I've just sprayed spray starch into a container. I have a paintbrush and I'm just going to dampen the edge of the fabric. Because the fabric is damp, it is actually going to curve easier for me than if the fabric was dry. It is also going to hold very tightly for me so that it's easy to stitch this down once we finish. So hot iron, I'm just going to bring my fabric over so it's pulling up against the edge of that template. Put the iron on it and continue up. Just using your fingers to manipulate it round, but as you can see, because it is damp, it actually turns over beautifully. So that side is done, and this is how easy it is to get that beautiful Persian top finish. And just keep going round with the iron until you've got them all turned over. And I just hold the iron onto the piece until it is dry, and I always press from the top side as well. Once we've pressed the top over, we need to remove the paper, and the paper just comes out by giving just a little simple pull. Because of the starch, it's kept the shape in there beautifully. So if you are making the 12-inch block, you use the 12. If you are making a 10-inch block, you use the 10. An 8-inch block, we will use 8 and 6. But as you can see, they all work the same way. You can lay out the blocks so that you can see how you'd like them to go together. This one I've alternated the colour, and this one I've put pairs of colours together. Laying them out makes sure that you don't get lost when you go to sew them together and sew them the wrong way together. So I pick them up, turn them over, align the top edge here, place a pin in here, bring the bottom edge together and put a pin in here. Now, if I pick every one up with the top up and the light colour on the top, I will know when I get to the sewing machine that they are all facing the correct way. If I get to the sewing machine and I find that with the top up I have the purple on top, then I know it's not right. When I open them up that way, I will have 2 purples together. So I always make sure that I set up a system of having top up and the light purple on top. I have now sewn my pieces together. I've started on a waste fabric to take care of any knotty bits and daggy end threads that I might have. And every piece has been chained together very closely. You can see how close these chains are, so that when I go to cut them apart, I've got 1 thread to snip and my pieces come apart with 1 thread being cut, and I don't have lots of threads to trim off later, threads to get caught in my pieces when I'm sewing them together. When we sew these together, we must sew them with a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance as usual. And we also have to do a back stitch at the start of each piece here. We don't need to back stitch at the other end. We're going to sew our circle in the centre over that. This one we do need to put a back stitch in.